Everyone, I'm Ben. By way of background, I worked as Director of Knowledge Management for San Francisco Unified, and during that time, I had the distinct pleasure of working with a number of people like Judy. Judy is a high school principal who desperately wants to make decisions on the basis of data rather than intuition and hearsay. But the school district that Judy works for provides her with 8 different data systems that she's got to log into in order to get her head wrapped around what's going on in her schools. And that leaves Judy feeling like this. But fortunately for her, there's Eduvant. Eduvant brings together the data from across all those different systems, compiles it into a beautifully designed interface on a single screen. So when Judy comes in the morning, first thing she sees that Ms. Larrabee is out today, that there's no substitute assigned to fill in for her. So she turns immediately to her assistant principal and asks him to fill in for the day. Problem solved. Next, she takes a more strategic focus. She knows that the school board is concerned about chronic truancy in the school. So she's looking at a display that shows her how many students are absent, how many days. She clicks on the bar on the right side of the screen, which shows her students that are 11 or more days absent so far this year. And she can see the faces of the students who are contained within that category. One student in particular stands out for her, not sure why, but she clicks on his image to pull up a full profile. She can see what classes he's taking, what teachers are teaching him, his pattern of absenteeism, disciplinary incidents, achievement, and of course she can see also his guardian's contact information, which she uses immediately to phone his parent, make sure that they know what's going on, and ensure that Thomas shows up for school more going forward. Finally, Judy turns to the third column on the interface, which is called Daily Insights. Daily Insights is a Facebook-like news feed powered by a robust analytical engine that's continuously generating new stories about what's going on in Judy's school as the data becomes available. So for Judy, it's like having a personal research assistant sitting with her full-time, making her aware of the most valuable, actionable trends and outliers that are present in the data. Now, because Judy is a great principal, not just a good one, she cares not only about fixing the problems in her school, but also about building on the great successes that her teachers and students achieve. So she's really excited to see at the top of the Daily Insights that one of her teachers, Mr. Graff, has finally cracked the nut that he's been struggling with, classroom management. He's seen a 63% reduction in the number of disciplinary incidents over the last 2 weeks. Judy's really excited about this, wants to understand what's changed for Mr. Graff. So she goes to visit him during one of his prep periods, talks to him about what's going on, and based on what she hears, she asks 3 other teachers in the school who are struggling with the same issue to come in and observe one of Mr. Graff's classes so that they too can learn how to better manage those students. So with Eduvant by her side, by the end of the day, Judy feels like this, informed and empowered to make a tremendous impact on our students. And we learned a lot in the process of building this product, but 3 things in particular stand out. Number 1 is that time, not access to data, not analytical power, is the major constraint for decision makers in school districts. A study out of Stanford University in 2009 on principal time use found that principals have little more than 2 minutes a day to use data. If your tool doesn't provide a way for principals to get a sense for what's going on in their school in that amount of time, it's going to sit on the shelf gathering dust. Number 2 is that educators have received limited training on data use. A report that came out in March of this year by the National Council on Teacher Quality found that only 1 in 50 teacher preparation programs are adequately covering data use skills. So that really underscores the importance of carefully designing the ways that you're presenting data to people. So these 2 things taken together are things that we had to address in developing the dashboard. What you see is that we've put everything on a single screen to ensure that principals can really efficiently access all of the data, and then we've meticulously designed the various displays so that they can wrap their heads around it without having to have a great depth of data analysis training. And then finally, and most importantly, partnering with educators is incredibly critical. Despite the time that I spent in the school district, my understanding of the realities of what it is to be a principal is nothing compared to the decades of experience of the various administrators that we had the privilege of working with. As a company, we have a really exciting partnership with San Francisco Unified that we call Entrepreneur in Residence, and that gives us unprecedented access to data and staff and opportunity to really incubate our product. Again, I'm Ben. This is Eduvant. Looking forward to answering your questions. And thanks.
All right. Let's hear it for Eduvant. Very well done. Joe, thoughts? Joe, the teacher.
I think it looks awesome. There's so much data out there, and there really is no time to process it. The problem is not lack of data. The problem is the time to do it and professional development for the teacher. So what you showed was very easy to use, very intuitive. Wouldn't take that much professional development. So it looks great.
Thank you.
Love the logo, too.
So there is a ton of data out there and a lot of systems. And you're doing this with one kind of group. How are you going to deal with the variety of back-end data that you've got to pull in from many different kind of LMSs and SISs, et cetera?
Yeah, integration is the big cost driver for these kinds of solutions, these kinds of data solutions. And the traditional big data warehouse approach is extremely expensive, very high failure rates, between 70 to 90% failure, depending on the study you look at.
I understand the problem.
So
how are you going to solve it?
What we've done is we've built a lightweight platform, an integration platform that enables us to really rapidly pull data from a variety of those different data systems without having to build specific adapters into each one.
So professional services and tools that you've built.
That's right.
So what is the cost for a school district to do that integration?
It depends on the size, but we're looking at the low end somewhere around $15,000 to $20,000.
Per school district?
Yes.
Per school district? Per
School
what?
district. Yeah, the data tends to be centralized because the district is responsible.
So how many school districts are there in the U.S.?
About 14,000.
So if you do 14,000 times 20,000, that means you have 100% market penetration, which won't happen. It's still not a big business, right?
Well, that's just the integration. That's the upfront cost. We really make our money off of the applications, which is a license model.
So how big is the San Francisco school district technology budget overall? Like, or what part would you cut into that? Like, give me a comparable. Like, how is this a giant check they write, a small check? Is this hard? Like,
it's tiny compared to the money that they're spending on other systems. So IT budgets for school districts tend to be about 5% of their total budgets. If you look at the K-12 space, it's about $500 billion. So 5%.
Just give me San Francisco, so I have a comparable. So $20,000 from San Francisco.
Sure.
Like, what do they spend on software today?
Millions of dollars. So San Francisco, if you're bringing in a student information system, you're going to spend $1 million the first year just to bring it into your district, and then you'll have annual maintenance fees of several hundred thousand.
Okay. What student information system does San Francisco use?
San Francisco developed their own roughly a decade ago.
Okay, but you can tie into like the big ones like Aries, PowerSchool,
Absolutely.
Zangle.
So I'm sorry, just to be absolutely clear about how it gets implemented. So in other words, you would go into the school system and the school would say we're using these 6 different programs, and then you would kind of hand wire, or if you'd already done those implementations, you'd kind of implement it for that individual school. Is that correct?
That's right. And in the case that the district has the capacity and wants to do it themselves, we give them a way to do their own integration at no cost.
So is that scalable? I mean, again, there are a lot of districts, there's an awful lot of schools, and we know how tricky every school environment is. Is it really scalable to be able to go school to school like that?
Yeah, not school to school, but district to district, where you get somewhat better economies of scale. But what we've done is devoted tremendous resources toward making that integration really efficient and effective, and believe that we could do it orders of magnitude less expensively than competitors.
Mm-hmm. One thing I didn't see in the demo, and it immediately made me think of like sort of Yammer or some of these other enterprise solutions, was a social component around the object. So, okay, this student has been late this many times, but I didn't see like +1 or comment or like, not that you would do that, but an internal like system or an internal commenting system or an internal forwarding system that said, ping the 8 teachers around this and let's discuss this student online in this system, because I doubt there's a social layer. Is that something that would be appealing to teachers and administrators, or is that something they would shy away from because they don't want to have that discussion captured in a system?
Yeah.
If you built a budget application using the same design, I think you would have a greater penetration than 15 to 20K per school district, because the budgets for principals, they have such little time, and honestly, they have a hard time keeping track of their budgets. And if you had like a system like this, just for the budgeting component, I think then you can add on the other modules. I think that'd be a much...
You see that as the main pain point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that was exhibited in there. How close to budget are you on certain things? Thomas, thoughts?
Ben, I'm going to have to ask, is Judy real?
I'm sorry, is what?
Is Judy real? Judy, your principal, is she real?
Oh, no, Judy is a fictional portrayal of a lot of
I was about to
people that I
say,
did
it's
work
interesting, everybody who works at the school is also a stock photography model.
Yeah, exactly. So
It's just an incredible
it would have
coincidence.
helped your presentation to use real people or not use them, or say it's a fictional character, because I was wondering the whole time if Judy is real in San Francisco.
Can this product be used by teachers also, as you talk about expanding just principals? There's some components of having a dashboard for teachers, maybe.
Yeah, this product is designed for principals. Specifically, a lot of what you're seeing here would not necessarily be directly relevant to a teacher's daily experience, but the data set that we're collecting is really student-level data, and it would not be a challenge at all to build a solution based on that underlying platform that we've developed.
Joe, in a school, would it be culturally acceptable to share this kind of dashboard with every teacher? Or do people like to keep this data in silos? Because I think if you were running a startup company or even a large company, you'd make that dashboard available to everybody to have open discourse and insights occur from all levels. Would that happen in a school?
I think that'd be really hard to do. I think maybe per grade level, but not shared to the whole school. I think it'd be awesome to do that, but there's still a lot of
Why?
old politics.
Oh, politics?
Because even though you can look up what everyone makes, there's still there's a lot of politics involved, and not even just a salary, but honestly, there's like a complaint. Well, if this person's doing better, it's weird. It's such a competitive when it should be a collaborative environment.
Right, so systems like this could be a forcing function. I wonder if there's any teachers or administrators who have thoughts on this in the audience. Okay.
My name is Dr. Pamela Ellis, and I had a question in relation to the walkthroughs that principals do, and if there's any way for you to integrate the development of the walkthrough information in this dashboard.
Sure. Those are the kinds of systems that we can do integrations with. So it's just a matter of really tailoring the way that the data is presented at a high level to the administrators in the school. But absolutely, that's something that we hear a lot.
Awesome. Let's hear it for Eduvant.
Thanks.